Hi everyone, it's Autumn. So I wanted to give a quick update and let you know what I've been up to. So I know I've been off for the last 2 weeks and haven't posted anything. If you hear my voice, that's part of the reason why. So I'm back and I have a ton of videos and a ton of stuff I'm going to post, but I wanted to give this quick update. I have been dealing with toxic mold syndrome that was in one of my, was in the place that I lived in the city of Chicago. And I've been kind of detoxing from it and I totally lost my voice. That's part of the reason. The other part is because I've been going through what I hope to be the final end of the divorce with my narcissistic sociopath, and I'm going to go into more details and talk about that more in one of my blog entries that I'm going to post soon. And one of the most important reasons why I've been MIA for the last 2 weeks is because I've been working on moving out my corporate clients. So I have been a life coach for several years now. I moved away from mainstream therapy and became a life coach. Well, I took on a lot of private clients that now looking back were women and some men who were going through divorces and difficult times in their life that now I see had narcissistic abuse syndrome and have been married to or involved with narcissists. But I didn't know that at the time because in school they don't really teach you it like they should. But I also I had 3 main corporations that I worked for. And I have to be honest, I did take it initially for the money. It wasn't the deepest or most fulfilling work I've ever done at all. But it wasn't until I went through narcissistic abuse myself and I started to open my eyes to so many things. And one of the things I started to realize was a lot of the corporate clients I have been working with, the CEOs, the sales team managers, the, VPs and more upper echelon, they would have me work with them on their personal stuff, but also a lot on, surprise, surprise, getting along with people, working on time management, kind of stuff like that, and integrating it with their own, personal development. Now I realize so many of them were sociopaths and narcissists, like clinical. And I would kind of say they're narcissistic. But again, nowhere in my training, in my lexicon, like so many people I've spoken to in the field and just, all of us never really knew about it until we went through it and we discovered it and it all made sense, which is another issue I'll talk about later and is part of the reason why I did what I did, what I did was I have gravitated away from that part of myself as a coach, and I've started to work specifically with people that are going through or have gone through narcissistic abuse, or people that are trying to get out of a relationship and see that it's toxic and potentially with a narcissist, working with people that even years later are still finding it hard to move on, or dealing with the trauma, people that have moved on but haven't really fully integrated their life in the way that they want, working on career, working on new relationships, working on self-development. And that's what I've started to focus my career on. Because after I went through narcissistic abuse, I was just blown away by the lack of support there is out there. And it's horrible. And having the background I have, when I went through what I did and started to, before I even realized what was going on, I went to a therapist. Then I went to another therapist for help, for support. And, sorry, I keep doing this. I can see myself in the reflection and my hair was like sticking out, so ignore that. And it was really unbelievably disturbing what I encountered. So I think, I know, and I've talked to everyone I've spoken to that's gone through this, that went to a therapist or a psychologist, I was re-victimized. I was re-traumatized. Just, it's that simple. I went in and see, like mostly everybody, I spent my life, okay, I stop. I spent my entire life with my ex, being blamed. Not my entire life, but my entire relationship with my ex, being blamed for everything, taking it all on, constantly trying to get back to that initial place that we were at together, when he was wonderful and my best friend and the love of my life, which obviously now I can see is, not really him. It was all a masquerade. But I spent the entire time we were together, taking it on, being manipulated covertly, being disappointed in myself for not being able to fix it, looking at myself, always reanalyzing myself over and over and over again, trying to figure out what could I have done differently, what can I do differently. I had gone into therapy. I had decided I was codependent. I went to CODA meetings. I was going to fix this relationship single-handedly. Even though I knew he had issues, I took on the responsibility and the role of the person, the identified patient in the relationship. Well, I get out of this relationship and I'm trying to recover. I'm destroyed. I'm 1,000 pieces on the floor. And I walk into a therapist's office and guess what? They point the finger at me again. Now, yes, it would be counterproductive to not eventually work through our own stuff, because at the end of the day, we're all that matters, right? But I call the point where you seek out support, the point where you are destroyed by a manipulative person, a narcissistic, cluster B personality disorder person, somebody that came in and redefined everything you thought you knew about yourself, about love, about people. I call that ground zero. Ground zero happens at different points for everybody. I've met people that have gone through and been devastated 3 different times in their life by the same person or by different narcissists, I'll just say narcissists, but toxic people, borderline, malignant borderlines, narcissists, sociopaths, so on. Because they've had recurring relationships with either the same person and it happening over and over, or different people. And it's not until they get to ground zero. Ground zero is the point where you are so devastated. And I just want to say it can happen at any point. For some people it happens the first time. For some people it happens the 5th time. There's no right or wrong. It all depends on our own personal background. It depends on what that person did to us. Depends on a whole bunch of things. And ground zero is that point where you are so devastated. You are so destroyed. Your life around you, you can't even see clearly. That you finally say, I can't do this anymore. I need support. I need to be proactive. Even if it's in a desperate attempt, clinging to the walls, which was me, throwing shit against the wall and seeing what stuck. I still knew inherently that was ground zero for me. And see, ground zero, we build up from there. And eventually we go past ground zero, which is that person, that narcissist, that sociopath, and we work beyond that. So we can have truly happy, fulfilling lives, so we can work through our own issues. If, I say if, sometimes there is and sometimes there isn't something in us that helped create that relationship or drew us to the narcissist. But sometimes it's not even that. Sometimes we just have to deal and accept that we're not at fault. Yeah, sometimes we have to see our faults. Sometimes this could be harder sometimes. We have to accept we were at fault. We were lied to. We were manipulated. This person, we're not psychic, right? So this can be almost harder. But we go into therapy in the traditional model of therapy, and most therapists don't really understand narcissistic abuse syndrome. They don't really understand, what cluster B personalities do to ourselves and how to deal with that. And then guess what? We're re-traumatized. We're re-victimized. Everything is pointed at, let's not talk about them, let's talk about you. So I talk about this a lot. Anyway, it was then that I realized that I wanted to work with this particular set of clients. And I realized too, we can't understand it as a therapist unless we've gone through it. I mean, it's just that simple. We can't. So I have finally, it's taken months. I have clients that are going through this, and narcissistic abuse syndrome clients, or people transforming their lives after this. I've had awesome success, and it's really motivated me to dedicate most, if not all, my professional life and personal life almost to this. So it's taken me several months, and in the last 2 weeks, I finished out my contracts, and I'm finally free, so I can take on more clients. Now, if you've contacted me, I've gotten so many emails, and my heart goes out to everybody. I just haven't been able to respond to everyone. I haven't been able to I took on a few new clients, but that was all I could do. But now I can, because I transition now, I can at least take another 15 to 20 clients. See, for me, the way I approach coaching is more all-encompassing. It's more comprehensive. It's about looking at your life and yourself from a full place, not just your childhood, not just a narcissist, although we'll start at ground zero and I work our way out. My goal is to be a true support. See, here's another thing about traditional therapy, and I never, took to it, and I never really liked the boundaries I had to have. I had to have, as a traditional therapist or psychologist, and what you'll find is you get like 1 hour a week in an office. I'm sorry, but life is much more complicated than that, and life doesn't just, you don't just need support Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. in your little allotted time. Even when I was going through therapy years ago and getting help, trying to find my place in the world, trying to work through things from my past or whatever I was doing, I found that I literally would sometimes, that day was fine. We have ups and downs. That's part of being human. And that particular day would have been fine. So I walk into therapy and I'm just bullshitting, getting nothing done. And then the next day, all of a sudden, I need support, and I have no support. I don't have my therapist's cell number. I'm not allowed to just call and be like, hey, can you call me tonight? I really need you. And looking at life more than just, the narcissistic abuse, or more than just the narcissist, more than just, our emotions and our issues. And, all this is important. But life is much more complicated than that. And everything matters. Where we live, look at me, the mold. I was living in a mold-infested place in the city of Chicago without knowing that I had a toxic mold syndrome while I was going through the narcissistic abuse, which I am absolutely convinced made it even harder for me at that initial state to deal with it. So I was sick, and I didn't even know it, and it makes your brain swell. See, our environment matters. The people in our life matters. What we do for career matters. Are we happy? In order to get to that ideal place of whatever it means to you individually, or us individually, me individually, of having happiness, being fulfilled, having peace in our lives, having fulfilling and healthy and giving and loving and mutually respecting relationships with people, we have to often look at it from a comprehensive place. Just looking at it one way, 1 hour a week. And anyway, if we did anything for 1 hour a week, we wouldn't be good at it. I know so many people have been going through therapy for 20 years and are still like, getting a little better. And why is that? So that's been my big, thing that I've done the last few weeks, which I've been MIA. I have so many videos I'm working on. I have a new blog I've been writing since my voice went out. I couldn't do any videos, so I actually started writing a ton. I'm going to put that up soon. I had to cancel the 2 radio shows from last week because I had no voice. I'm going to start back up on Wednesday. I hope people... So feel free to email me. I'm going to put the contact information. It's Life Coach Autumn Blake. Life Coach Autumn Blake. Autumn like the season, BLAKE @gmail.com. Feel free to email me if you are in need of a coach or support. if you have any questions just in general. I'll try to get back to you, but those questions I'm for sure going to answer on the radio shows on Wednesday. So I hope people will tune in or listen after, because I'll post them on Blog Talk Radio. The radio show is Lifting the Veil, and I'll put links for that as well. So I am going to have the Wednesday shows. It's going to be dedicated to answering questions from emails. Callers, if you want to call in, if you have questions or need advice or want to talk about something specific in your life. And I'm going to pick one or two people either that call or pre-arrange ahead of time to do a coaching session with live on the air. Because what I have found, and I'm sure you can relate, is that so many people, if we listen to and look at other people's experiences, it makes such a difference to relate to people and hear, because we all can relate, we all can learn, feel supported. So I feel like there is definitely a something very productive and very very good in, listening to other people's stories, and what a great way to do it than coaching. So I'll give some basically free coaching sessions live on air. So you can, if you're somebody who doesn't mind, you can make up details. You don't have to give any personal information, nothing like that. You can even, decide what you're going to say and not say. I don't want anyone to feel like they have to put themselves out there in ways they don't want to. But if you need coaching privately, we can do that too. But that's for the show Lifting the Veil. So on Wednesdays, I'm going to do more the answer email questions, people call in with questions, and the live coaching sessions. And then Sunday is going to be more of a traditional show format. I will open the phone lines for questions and discussions. So I'm hoping to get a few people that want to discuss a topic so we can have a small discussion panel. And I also am going to have guests on there. I have a psychologist I'm lining up, actually, like a traditional psychologist, kind of prove my point about how little they know about cluster Bs and narcissistic abuse. I'm lining up some other guests, talking about specific topics. So the Sunday show will be more traditionally based, like have different segments. So that's at 9 p.m. Central Time at Blog Talk Radio, Lifting the Veil. But anyway, I just wanted to do this update. I know it got kind of long. I hope everyone's well. I'm going to put up, I have a ton of videos, like I said, I'm putting up every day. And I'll put up the blog, and I'll put up the radio show. And I'm hoping that I can now, like I said, gravitate away from this less meaningful work that I was doing previously with the corporate life coaching, and really focus on helping. I think this is deep, meaningful work, and taking on more clients. So I know I had a ton of people. If you've emailed me before, please email me again. I will go through, I have hundreds of emails, and try to find people kind of that email me sooner. So I've only been able to take about 20 clients on so far. But again, part of the reason is because I try not to make it a mill. I tried to form a real relationship, really be there for you, create a relationship, and and also, so no matter where you live in the world, we could do remote coaching. It is actually really productive, I found. Actually being on the phone and being, or on Skype, but especially on the phone, I found a lot of people feel more comfortable in being honest and opening up if you have a hard time either way than in person. There's a lot of stuff I can send you. I have tons of different therapy models I use, stuff on videos, on PDFs, stuff we can send, stuff we can do over Skype. I have a online interface where we can share information. All of that is great. But if you are in the Chicagoland area, and you're interested in in-person coaching, I'm hoping to take on anywhere from 5 to 10 in-person coaching clients, because I have spent the last 5 years not only, like I said, working with narcissists and sociopaths, I'm realizing it, but working with people going through regular trauma. Before I went back to school, in my early 20s, I worked at the mental health clinic in Heidelberg, Germany for one summer, working with PTSD clients. So I have some trauma background. And what I've been doing the last 5 years or so, I've gotten different types of licensing, and just training and seminars and working with alternative doctors and different types of therapists, doing a whole wide range of different types of therapies, sound therapy, frequency therapy. I have this awesome machine that my mom and I invested in together because my mom's also, well, my mom is a PA, physician's assistant, in traditional medicine, but she's always worked in alternative medicine, and she's a healer. That's what she considers herself. I've taken some of that, but I've gone a lot more mainstream with him, not a little out there quite like she is. But she's amazing. And the stuff that she and my mom's best friend, I call her my aunt, have a practice. She's a doctor, an MD. They've been doing it for 20, 30 years now. Is amazing. And we have, my mom and I went in and bought this really expensive machine. It's a frequency machine. I'll talk more about it later. But it's just amazing what the results I've seen, not just physically, but emotionally. So working with sound therapy, different type of music therapy, which I actually ran a music therapy program in my 20s, so I know a lot about that. Working with different types of colors, EMDR, I could go on. There's like 12 different hypnotherapy. So if you are in Chicagoland area, I want to ask you to contact me if you're interested in. I think that it would be great to work with specifically narcissistic abuse syndrome clients or people, you know, in those relationships are out. So it's not so much just recovery and healing. It's also, that's just one aspect of it, you know, and for everyone it's different. The goals for everybody is different. So it's getting dark. I just left the office and I wanted to make this video real quick. The light was horrible in there and now it's getting dark so early. So I better make this end this finally. It's been 20 minutes. Thank you for hanging in there, and feel free to contact me and send me questions and look out, and I will try not to take such long breaks, and now that I'm getting better. All right, everybody, namaste.